Hello and welcome to the Bridges to Success, the podcast that showcases inspiring stories of individuals who have successfully transitioned from school to thriving careers. Today, we are joined by two very special guests. We have Miss Bailey Weiss and Mr. Chance Mitchell. Bailey is a youth employment specialist, as is Chance. And Bailey, I know you're from the Chicago office. Chance, where are you located?
Chicago as well.
Okay, so you guys are coworkers.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's just jump in real quick. Bailey, can you tell me about yourself? How did you get started in the nonprofit space and with Bridges particularly?
Yeah, I started at a high school, a middle and high school. It was a private school that I started with. And it's an alternative school. And so they had all one-on-one learning. So I worked with a lot of students with disabilities. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon Bridges. I've always had a passion for working with students with disabilities. And so I found Bridges and I started about 5 months ago now.
Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations on the new gig. Welcome to Bridges. Chance, what about your journey?
It goes back kind of far. I think maybe like the earliest taste of nonprofit work was maybe I would do like summer, like my mom would put me in front of people, and that would kind of, those conversations would kind of lead to saying, hey, Chance would be good for this position, and it'll be like summer jobs, and that just kind of snowballed until like I was in high school, and that was when I had like my first internship. And it was based around it was nonprofit work. It was at my first internship was like teen dating violence awareness, and I was doing that for a couple years. And like I said, it just kind of snowball, all up until I really got to Bridges. But I've been in like the nonprofit space, very like boots on the ground, community development advocacy. I've been doing that pretty much my entire like career. I think it's the only work that I'm good at, if we're being completely honest. And it's also like the only work that makes sense to me. So like I've done work with the Food Depository, and I've done work with Chicago Votes. So very, very like varied I guess topics and causes, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then I ended up at Bridges, like Bailey, about 5 months ago now. The fact that we're coming up on 6 months is insane, but I guess that's just time. Yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's new, it's different, but I've been enjoying it.
What do you think is the most rewarding thing about working at Bridges?
I've been telling my supervisor this. I think like the little progress that I've been making, like I was able to help a student get a social security card, and he didn't have one. So, even if we stop working together, that's something that he'll be able to use for the rest of his life. And just kind of helping, with confidence building, and just getting some of the participants in the groove of applying to jobs and applications and things like that. And just kind of like, seeing some of them develop from where we started to where we're at now, the confidence, the independence. I think that progress has really been the most inspiring thing to me and the most like rewarding thing for me.
And Bailey, what about you? What is the most rewarding thing about the job, and what are you hoping it comes out of it for you?
Yeah, I think working with students who have disabilities, a lot of people say, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you're not good enough. You're never going to amount to things. Those are things that a lot of my participants have already told me. I don't have that many participants, but even in the past, that's just how, unfortunately, sometimes the education system treats people with disabilities. So I think showing them that they can do it, being an example of someone who can, and like showing them their potential, showing them they are better than what other people are telling them. And then watching them grow in that and gain their confidence, like Chance was saying, and just having them have a smile on their face of being proud of themselves, I think is the best for me.
That's awesome. So you're in the Chicago office. What is going on in the Chicago office? What are your goals there? What is next for Chicago?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about the schools that we're going into, making sure that all bases are covered. So if they aren't on the DRS grant, how can we help them after and getting into WIOA? So we have a lot of like our teams are finally like kind of combining is what we're seeing that's happening. A lot of the times WIOA is working with WIOA, DRS is working with DRS, and then we come together every other week and have a meeting. Whereas I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more collaboration across the Chicagoland office.
It's an important thing that you guys are doing, especially in cities like Chicago, where there's a lot of inequality and lack of opportunity for certain people. So I think, it's very valuable. If you are living in the Chicago area and you'd like to, get some help getting your career off the bat, and you're between 17 and 24 and have a disability, I want you to go to bridgestowork.org. And on the website, on the top, there's a button and it says contact. All you have to do is click that button at the top. You fill out the form and you hit submit, and then you're going to be on a journey. And folks like Bailey and Chance are there to help you get on your journey and make your life better and make the transition from school to work easier. So you make sure you go to bridgestowork.org, or if you're a loved one and you know somebody who might benefit from this, do the same thing. If you're an employer and you think, hey, I'm in Chicago or I'm in one of the other 12 states where Bridges is, I can help by bringing on, and these are great people. And then we're going to get into that in a second. Bailey and Chance, you guys can tell me firsthand, these people who are coming to look for work, they're ready to work. And I think that's a big difference. They're motivated. Can you talk about the quality of people that are coming out of the Bridges program?
It's very heartening to see some of what's the word I'm looking for? It's very heartening to see some of the pace that the young people or the participants that I'm working with are like moving at. Just because everybody varies in regards to like their levels of independence, but like the ones that are like really ready to go, it's like it's not much that I have to do with them. It's just like, okay, here's a lead, here's an application, and I'll sit there and I'll give them the help and like pointers and things like that. But it's just they are very like they're really efficient. They're really efficient, and that makes me really happy about when they do eventually start getting calls back and interviews and things like that, because I see a lot of potential with I see a lot of potential with them. And like I said, these are like 17, 18-year-old like young people, so I can only imagine what they're going to be like in the next 2 or 3 or the next 2 or 3 years, like once they're like in the workforce and like finding their groove and finding like their niches and things like that. So there a lot of them that I'm working with are just kind of like really sharp, really dynamite, really dynamic, and I'm just like I said, I'm really excited to see like where they go.
Bailey, if I'm an employer and I have an opportunity to see a Bridges kid, why should I take a look closely?
Yeah, I think something that or why you should is because a lot of our participants are coming to us for help because they really want to do well at their job. So they already have the want to be working, and then they have the backup support through us. So like the mentorship and being able to ask the clarifying questions to be most prepared for their day at work.
And that's cool because a lot of kids go to work and they don't have somebody to call and talk to about, hey, this happened. How should I approach it? Or what's the best way to handle this? So in a way, they have somebody helping coach their employees to be better and more proactive and all of those things. So it really is an advantage to employees. I wanted to kind of tap in for the rest of the episode and talk about, maybe go through some segments of, a back and forth between you and Chance where we talk about tips, right? Mastering job interviews, navigating workplace accommodations. And if we could just give a little tip from each of you on each subject, I think we'll have a nice little thing that we can cut up and give to people as little bite-sized chunks. So let's start with crafting an effective resume cover letter, right? If you have advice for kids out there and they're looking to write a resume and a cover letter, what are some things that they can do to stand out in today's competitive environment?
I think probably providing, and it is it might be a little difficult because and I guess it depends on like the grant you're working on, but I think providing active examples of the things that you've done is a really good way to bolster your resume, because how I design my resumes are, I'll whatever the job, whatever the job is, the title, and two bullets of, something tangible that people can read, quantity, the amount of people that I've worked with, how many things that I've done, things like that. So using your resume, taking like the things that you're most proud of and really hammering in like the effort and what it took for you to achieve the things that you did on that resume. Because those actionable examples, I feel, paint a really strong picture of the type of employee that you're going to be, the type of work ethic that you have, the type of success you've had in your role, and the things that you would be willing to do within the role. I think that's again, that's how I model a lot of my resumes and cover letters. So I think that would be I think it's led to me seeing a lot of success. So hopefully it does the same thing for others.
Awesome. So Bailey, what do you think is something that stands out to make somebody stand out with a resume these days?
Yeah, I think having qualitative data on your resume, showing those numbers, is really important. I also think connecting the job that you're applying to your resume or cover letter, making sure you understand and they understand that you know what you're applying to. And I think yeah, just highlighting anything that made you stand out in your position. So if you did anything a little bit different than someone else on your team, like highlighting that to make you stand out.
Love that. Mastering job interviews. We want to talk about some tips and tricks for really preparing young adults with disabilities for job interviews. And I'd love to kind of talk about, what do you guys think are the most important things? And Bailey, this time we'll start with you.
Okay, I think for interviews, definitely always talking with a smile. So making sure you look like you are a nice, welcoming participant. I think taking a deep breath before walking in is really important for a lot of our participants. Anyone's pretty nervous for a job interview. So just taking that deep breath, like releasing any energy that you can. And then just be yourself and make sure you are highlighting all the things that we've practiced. So I often practice with my participants. I often have them practice with someone who's not me because they're too comfortable with me. So practicing with someone else to be that soundboard. And yeah, just be yourself.
Great advice. Chance, what advice do you have for folks for mastering a job interview?
What was coming to mind, because I'm working with I'm working with young people right now or participants right now, and we're like in interview prep. And I think that number one thing that I'm trying to instill to them is a level of confidence in the regards of you made a solid enough first impression with your resume. So it's not a fluke that you're there. It's not a mistake that you're there. And I want you to like really be confident in your ability and the fact that you've been invited to at least a first round interview. Because, interviews, if you don't have practice with them, if you're not used to them, they can be like very nervous. It can be like a nerve wracking thing. And you don't want to go into the interview like demoralized. You don't want to go into the interview thinking, "Oh, well, this may have been a mistake. I can't do this." And I don't want anyone to go into an interview with that mindset. I just want people to know, like, you've gotten here off of the strength of your work ethic, the strength of your character, the strength of your resume, cover letter, what have you. Whatever you did, getting to this point, it was enough to pique the employer's interest. So keep that, and don't go in like overconfident. Don't go in cocky as you're gonna get the job. But it's just kind of like, oh, I'm here based off my own. I'm here based off my own success. I can do this. I'm fully capable. I can manage this. This is fine. Like I'm making good progress, and I think that that's something that I would want folks to go into interviewing like really knowing. It's a bit esoteric, but I think the confidence and feeling sure of yourself really does help you stand out. It because you talk with a little bit more like power. You talk with a little bit more assuredness, and like I said, I think that translates well, for an interview or anything that you're going for.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, but I want to thank you guys for being here, and I hope we can come back and do more tips and tricks. I want to remind everybody to go to bridgestowork.org. You're going to go to the top of the page. You're going to click on the contact button, and you're going to fill out that contact form, and that's going to allow you to get your career started, right? It's a bridge from school to work. So make sure you go to bridgestowork.org to sign up for Bridges from School to Work. Again, thank Bailey Weiss and Chance Mitchell for being with us today on behalf of the Bridges to Success podcast. I'm Jason Sorotin. We'll see you next time.